Brad Melke, ABC News correspondent on the line. Good morning, Brad Melke.
Hey, good morning.
Lots of talk about this tax bill, tax overhaul that the Republicans are working on. Now the Senate's getting ready to release theirs. Where are we with all of this?
Well, that's right. The Senate getting ready to release theirs today. The one we've been talking about for the last several weeks has been this House bill, and we just got the Congressional Budget Office score on it yesterday. And the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan group of accountants, said that this will increase the deficit, the national debt, by $1.4 trillion over the next 10 years, and that with interest, if you count interest, it'd actually be $1.7 trillion, and that's a problem because over in the Senate, if they're ever going to pass this bill, it has to be under $1.5 trillion if they want to get this thing through without Democratic support. So now people back in the House are furiously scrambling today to try to, raise some extra money to try to pare down that number before it actually goes out of committee.
There are people right now screaming at the radio saying, you guys are idiots. If you cut taxes, revenue will go up. And while you can argue that point, even people who are writing this bill, are they not, Brad Melke, saying the tax generated from this tax cut will not cover the deficit?
Yeah, that's right. The CBO was very explicit. They said we are not taking macroeconomics into account here. We're just going on what baseline economics are right now. And the White House will be the first to tell you, listen, we're going to raise a whole lot of more money. We're going to create more jobs. Those will be new taxpayers. People who are paying tax will be paying more taxes because of this. But when you look at corporate taxes going from 35 to 20%, these are huge cuts that are being made, and it has not been demonstrated necessarily on paper anywhere that this would actually raise $1.7 trillion to make up for it.
They're also not cutting taxes for everybody. There are quite a number of Americans that are going to see their taxes go up.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Tax Policy Center actually put out a paper just in the last 24 hours that says initially a lot of people will get that tax break, but 1 in 4 Americans could actually be paying more taxes this time within several years. So still a lot of questions about exactly how this will be structured. And remember, we're about to see a new bill from the Senate, and the Senate's got a whole lot of different priorities. Remember the state and local tax deductions that a lot of Republicans in the House are so worried about? You're thinking about these Republican congressional members in California and New York and New Jersey. Well, guess what? The senators that represent those states, they're Democrats. So a lot of these senators who are writing their own tax bill are saying, well, forget New York and New Jersey and California. Who cares? So they would get rid of these state and local deductions altogether.
I don't know why they keep separating high-tax states from low-tax states when they talk about your state and local taxes. Missouri is a pretty low-tax state, but there are a lot of people complaining in Missouri that, hey, I'm going to lose that tax deduction too, even though it's not as high of a tax rate, you're still losing that deduction.
No, it's absolutely true that if you pay, you pay state and local taxes anywhere, that if that goes away, that would make a difference to your pocketbook. I think what we've seen a lot of worry in some of these areas because of the 2018 midterms, right? That you would have these they're traditionally been Republicans, but they're in affluent areas, they're middle to upper class, and they vote Republican. The worry is that if there's a wave election on the way, that all it takes is that little sort of tipping point to turn those districts blue, and that is what is freaking out Republicans, especially a couple days after this election.
Brad, I think now we're starting to see why tax reform and tax cuts are such a tough thing to get through Congress.
Well, and here's the thing, McGraw. I mean, there are two ways to do a tax bill, right? You can do tax cuts, which generally go over well with Republicans. Democrats don't want any part of it. Republicans can be kind of united on it. We'll just cut taxes for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. Or you can do tax reform, which is where you get rid of a lot of deductions. It's very tricky. There's a lot of special interests involved. The way you get around that is by making it bipartisan. You've got 100 senators working on this instead of just 52. Yeah. And that's how you would get it through. Instead, Republicans are doing a little bit of tax reform where they are getting rid of deductions. They're making a lot of people unhappy, and they're doing the tax cuts, which takes Democrats out of the picture altogether. So they've got all the problems of both of these approaches and not as many of the benefits.
It's a really great point, Brad Melke, ABC News correspondent. Have a good day, Brad. Thanks.
Thanks.